a good one.
Play with me.
Here's a good one. Knock, knock, who's there? Arden, Arden. Arden, you the quack who'd make a better duck.
Pepper, 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 bo pepper, banana, fana, fo pepper, fee, fi, mo, mepper. Pepper.
She's crowning. He took one look at the shape of my head, and I was locked up for good.
Throw it away. Now. How could you do this? How could you kill him? He deserved it.
Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. I'm your host, Viz, and it is my honor tonight to welcome two very special guests, Alok Mishra and Naomi Grossman. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Good. Doing very good.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Now, you two are old friends. Alok, how did you meet Naomi?
Well, I just wanted to tell you, it's pronounced Alok. Just
Alok.
so you know. I mean,
I'm sorry.
It's fine. And people, my name is in Sanskrit. It's a dead Indian language. No one is to be blamed. But Naomi Grossman and I met like over 20 years ago. I want to say, where I feel like an old person. She looks beautiful. I look old. But we became friends because her college classmate who went to Northwestern with her was my friend from high school. And so when they finished school, you come to LA or New York to be an actor, actress, let's say. And so when my friend Lila Zuckerman, who's actually one part of a very famous writing duo, the Zuckerman sisters, who have written on everything from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to like, oh my gosh, Suits to everything. They're just a power duo. They came back out here. She came back out here, and Naomi came with her in sort of tow. And then, Lila's friends became Naomi's friends. And so for literally, more than 20 years, she was networking with a potential producer who didn't know he was going to be one, but knew he wanted to have Naomi Grossman in his movie.
It's true. It's funny, Lila has never cast me, which is crazy because, just like you said, she's a big deal. And, but hey, she introduced me to you, and so her work here is done, I guess, maybe.
And a friendship has been formed forever. Now, Naomi, you are very well known for the American Horror Story roles that you have played. How did that come your way? Did you just audition? Were you selected? Were you asked to do it? Tell us how it came your way.
Yeah, that was an audition like any other. One day you get a phone call from your agent. They say, they're looking for a 4 to 5 feet tall, possibly malformed, childlike actress to play this part. I got the sides, which were really just sides is like a industry term for like, the scene that they wanted me to do, which was actually a scene from Jessica Lange, one of Jessica Lange's scenes from season 1. And I think the reason for that is that, I don't think they had season 2, entirely written yet. But also, of course, they tend to be very, very secretive. And so, the minute they actually say like pinhead or, microcephalic or whatever, it's sort of like jig is up. Like then all of a sudden, all the actors, all the managers, all the agents, everybody in Hollywood knows what American Horror Story is doing next season. And that's just not like them. So that's why they came to be kind of a dummy script from the season prior, just to see if I could act. And then they also gave me a ball, and they said, we'd like you to do a little improv and see if you could get us to play with you as if you were, a 4 or 5-year-old. So it was kind of a confusing audition, because I had like this really kind of meaty, very adult scene to do. And then I had this, be a 5-year-old, which, in Hollywood, they really do tend to, in theater, it's very common to play like a little old lady or a child or whatever. But with television and film and TV, they tend to really, cast you at your age. Like I'm lucky if I play 30s now, So, to play a 4-year-old, that was something that I don't get every day. But hey, it was a kind of a wild audition. I remember it going very well and thinking like, great, that's the audition I nail. Only because in the actual audition room, there were probably like, I don't know, a good 20 like little people also waiting. And I thought, no way. Like I don't stand a chance. I mean, as much as I am petite, like I'm 5 feet of fun, but I was a giant compared to these people. So I didn't think I stood a chance. But hey, it worked out.
Absolutely, absolutely worked out.
I always say to myself, like, and to aspiring actors, it's really not our job to cast. Like, when you get the audition, you just do you, and or do what you have in mind. But it's don't you decide that you're not right for that part. That's for them to do. So, I'm glad I came very close to sabotaging myself, and I'm glad I didn't.
Oh, so are we. We're going to get back to Pepper in a second. I want to get to Alok. Now, Alok, when your good friend got the part of Pepper and you got to see her on the screen for the first time, what were your thoughts?
Well, the funny thing was, Naomi showed up.
I told you, wait. I screwed up your name again. Alok. I'm so sorry.
Here's how you remember it.
Alok as in smoke.
Alok.
Or rhymes with a joke.
Exactly. Alok. All right. Now, Alok, what did you think when you first saw Naomi as Pepper on AHS?
So what happened was that before anything aired, she showed up to a birthday party at a Thai food restaurant, and her head was all shaved. And we were like, what is going on with your head, Grossman? And she's just like, I can't talk about it. And we were like, okay, now I'm intrigued. Now I want you to talk about it. She's like, I can't talk about it. So finally, when we did figure out she was on like that, I Can See the American Horror Story, we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have parties for this. And we did. Like, I think almost every episode we were going to someone's house to watch, like, have like really nice cheese and wine or something, and then watch like her go to town on that part. So we actually, it was very communal in that regard. So I was able to see it with her and with our other friends and stuff like that. It was like just an awesome celebration. And then as sort of the character continued, and like, I mean, she is obviously one of the most adored characters on American Horror Story. Like, people cannot wait till they bring her back. And to the point that, like, every time she's on a season of American Horror Story, like, she's the number one looked up person, if not one of the number one, but I think the number one looked up person on IMDb. You think it's Angelina Jolie or Brad Pitt? No, it's Naomi Grossman.
Exactly.
So it's a thing where, it got to a place where, there's like, watch parties at like, gay bars, like, I don't know, one was the Epicenter that we would all go to, and we'd watch it with a bunch of like, dudes who are loving her, and like, and also, people like the guy that am I getting his name wrong, who played Meep, God rest his soul, like, he's with us, and like all these other people that were in American Horror Story for that season were hanging out with us, and it's like a party. Like, it was so much fun. People adore her. I mean, she can tell you, when she goes to conventions, it's like, it's crazy. Like, they love her. So
and
anyway, that's my experience of watching it with her, if that makes sense.
I can elaborate a little bit on that.
Uh-huh.
Only because it's true. When I first got cast in the part, they shaved all but that little hair yarmulke. That little pigtail was my hair. And up until then, I had like this little kind of conservative bob my entire life. So for me to just all of a sudden like run around like as like a bald woman with this little like top notch,
like a Hare Krishna,
that was going to be really hard for me to justify. what, did you just go join a cult, basically? So they actually gave me a wig. And so I know that, people were like, what's with Naomi's hair? Like, Naomi's been having like a lot of really good hair days, like consistently. And then, yes, at one point I was able to lose the wig, shave the yarmulke, and brave the world as a just a very short-haired person. But in fact, I want to say Lila, our mutual friend Alok, was actually one of my +1s at our premiere, and even she said, she was like, I always wondered, I thought you were going to come out with like a bunch of penises coming out of your head. I wanted to know what kind of secret you were trying to keep. So I guess I did a pretty good job.
You did a great job.
I'm keeping the secret anyway.
Now, when did you find out? Did you know at the audition what Pepper would look like?
Not at all. I mean, like I said, they wanted to keep that all a huge secret. It wasn't until I was in the makeup chair, like having been cast, that they actually asked if I would be okay with having my head shaved. And they showed me pictures. They were like, this is how you're going to look. So you might want to do a little research. I got all of my sort of direction from the makeup, which is pretty wild. Actually, they just got nominated for an Oscar today. They did Glenn Close's makeup in Hillbilly Elegy.
Wow.
Same team. So yeah, they know what they're doing.
So when you found out about the head shaving, the elaborate makeup they're going to do on you, how did you personally feel about that?
I just wanted to work. And so, I was a little trepidatious, only because I really hadn't been cast much in a traditional way prior to that. Yeah. So, I was kind of like, why would this big TV show want to cast me, like pay me top of show to shave my head and be one of the craziest in the asylum, like of all the actors in the world, why me? So I think I was just concerned that maybe, it was like an extra role or just one of those little background nothing roles. And I'm like, gosh, shave my head to just be like one of an army of pinheads. And that's kind of what I assumed I would be, only because honestly, that was kind of the level I was at the time. Like I wasn't at guest star status yet. Yeah. So that was my only concern, was like, okay, I want to make sure this isn't just like some director's reel, or, I'm not being like duped. Like Ashton Kutcher isn't going to like jump out of the bushes with, ha ha.
You've been punked. Yeah.
Yeah. But like punk, like now you're bald.
Now so, in the whole American horror.
Like, no, this is a real thing. This is an actual like opportunity.
Oh yeah.
I was totally on board. Like I said, it's not like I had a fabulous head of hair or was like, a Pantene model or anything. It's not like I was missing out on any major opportunities by virtue of, having a shaved head. I mean, quite the opposite, for that matter. It really opened up all. And now I know that I can rock short hair. I can rock long hair. That's what wigs are for. Like,
Samantha Morton did it for The Walking Dead. It's the in thing to do. So, right. You were one, not the first, but you were definitely, people saw Pepper and they're like, hey, if Naomi Grossman can do it, I can do it. And I just want we're going to be jumping around just to let you guys know, but I have one more question in regards to AHS. I have more, but for right now, you were in season 2, which is by far the most popular season of American Horror Story, and in my opinion, the best season so far. You were also in Freak Show. Now, in the timeline of AHS, Freak Show happened before Asylum. Is that correct?
Yes, Freak Show is a prequel.
Okay. Now, look. You are a producer. many years ago, I've been watching movies since I can remember. We see producer on the screen all the time. And I really wanted to know, this is many, many years ago, what the hell does a producer do? Okay? Besides, obviously, the word produce. And, when I first read it, when I summed it up to myself, a little bit of everything. How would you define the role of a producer?
I think a producer is a connector. I think a producer finds material, maybe finds money, combines finds the talent and figures out who's maybe right for the role. I mean, obviously casting director does that too, but the producer has to kind of see how, from a God's eye view, how all that's going to fit together, and then figure out also the right director who shares a similar vision for the project with the producer. So it really is kind of a super connector of all these elements. And even after it's over, I mean, I think that modern producers, especially indie producers, have to be people that understand like having a marketing plan for your film, because like these people, these lovely middlemen, we have a great sales agent, distributor, Dark Sky MPI. They're very much a boutique agency who knows how to handle films like this. But listen, they got 20 films going on, so like they're going to handle you, and they're going to literally lead that horse to water. But you got to really make sure that horse drinks the water, and that's kind of having a plan, whether it's like a festival plan coupled with then a plan of what you're going to do all over the world with all your other distribution partners that they've hooked you up with. So I think that's sort of again, coming back to the word super connector. That's what a producer does in this day and age, I would tell you. That's
a great description. Now, you're the producer of 1BR. By the way, congratulations. Fantastic movie, available on Netflix. How did you get involved with that?
I
want to just add to that last question, if I may.
Oh, yes.
Because Alok is all of that and even more. I mean, the fact is, when you don't have money, when it's a low budget movie, you got to wear all the hats. You're connecting all the connections, everything that he said and more. Like, he did all those things, but he also, when some of the friends and families that were supposed to come as be our background extras on a given day didn't show, in goes Alok. In fact, we often joke, for a good time, watch 1BR, pour yourself a weak drink and drink every time you see Alok on screen. You will be drunk by the end of that tight 90 minutes. I guarantee. When there was another actress actually slated to play Sarah, and she had like this ridiculous writer. She needed some feminine energy drink, and when Alok called the company and arranged to have like an entire truckload come, but it was going to come like a day or two late. Oh my God, our diva actress is going to be without her feminine energy drink for, an entire, shoot day or two. What are we going to do? Well, what does Alok do? He drives all the way out to the boonies to go find some of this drink at some, fancy far off grocery store, which he did, which again, when you've got all the money in the world, when you're American Horror Story, you've got minions for that. You know what I mean? There's PAs upon PA upon PA upon PA. Yeah. I mean, American Horror Story, there was like somebody employed just to put my lens in my eye. Somebody employed just to pull the curtain to make the tent look windy. But when you're a low budget, like independent producer, like Alok was in this particular, I mean, he's going to be a big budget guy soon. I can just smell it.
Oh yeah.
But you're wearing all of the hats. You are a connector, like he said, but you're kind of you're anticipating problems and you're providing the solution. So
that's really sweet of you, Naomi. That's really sweet of you.
And you may even be mortgaging your already paid for house to make the movie even happen. I mean, that's
allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I mean, there's tax people. I don't want to
interrupt. I felt like that was a time to give you some props, and
much props to a great movie. So, going back to my original question, how did you get involved with the project?
Well, I was looking for sort of thinking man's horror movies. I have a producing partner, just so you know. Like, we have a company called Malevolent Films. We're trying to do thinking man's horror movies. My producing partner's name is Shane Borster. And we had been looking, and we had gotten very close to actually shooting one thing. I happened to have lunch with Allard Cantor and Jared Murray, who have a company. They're managers. They have a company called Epicenter, and they actually represented David Marmor. It just so happens Allard Cantor went to high school with my wife in New Jersey. So I had one of these douchebag lunches you have in LA where you talk about the projects you're working on, and you talk about, like, how you're so important or something or whatever. And Allard was so sweet. He sent me 2 scripts, which I didn't read for 6 months. And then when another project, because I was actually working on another project, I was very close to shooting it. And when that project fell apart very last minute, I started going crazy reading scripts, including those scripts that I hadn't read. One of which was Tragedy Girls, which is an excellent film. And then the other one was 1BR. Mm-hmm. Well, I think horror comedies are hard to do. Yeah. And so I told them, I would never do it because of that. And they were like, well, we just finished shooting that. And I was like, well, what do I know? But I don't do VR. And then David Marmor, we had a nice coffee at the Culver Hotel or something here in LA, and Culver City actually. And we have the same sensibilities. And he's a super sweet, incredibly intelligent guy. He will never tell you, but he went to Harvard. And, then went to USC for directing for a graduate program. And in the middle, before that, even started a video game company, sold it to Activision. So, I mean, the guy is an amazingly intelligent man and also a very sweet man. And I could tell from his personality, we would get along, and his love of certain kinds of movies that we both love, whether it be Texas Chainsaw Massacre or, Carpenter's Thing or whatever it was. We had the same sort of ideas of what we thought were scary and interesting and cool, and his script was just perfect. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, we couldn't film as much of it as we wanted because we didn't have the money. Yeah. So the bottom line was we got along. We thought, he's a first time director, we're first time producers. What could go wrong? And so,
everything.
There we are. But I mean, before that, Shane and I actually tested movies. We did market research for film. So we had a lot of interesting experience. A lot of producers sort of don't have in terms of trying to help fix films and different things like that. So we definitely kind of came to it with a different perspective than a lot of producers do. And I think that's perhaps one of the reasons that we were able to take this little sort of film as if it was our proof of concept for what we could do with bigger film, and actually something that was successful. Thankfully successful. We're so grateful in that regard.
And did you premiere the film in festivals?
Well, that was the plan. We knew that it had to have a good festival strategy, and we were trying very hard to get into festivals. Here's a piece of advice. If you aren't finished with your film, do not give it to any festivals, because they're not going to, you think they're going to see with better eyes than what you have shown them, but they're not going to, frankly. And you'd be best you're just thinking to yourself well, I don't want to miss Sundance. I can't wait a whole year. I don't want to miss this, that, the other, South by Southwest. You can miss them because they're not going to accept you, and you're probably going to spend some money unless you have some sort of friend who knows a friend who can get you a waiver. You're going to spend the money that you don't want to spend. Yeah. So we actually got it into good enough shape, and we actually brought on a executive producer named Peter Polk, who is an amazing producer. He does all Ty West stuff, but House of the Devil was one of his pieces of work, and he's just a super nice guy. And I met him through a friend at a bar. And I was like, I wish we could get into Fantasia. We've applied. I don't know what's going to happen. And he just he's like, I love your film. I want to help you. And I was like, well, if you can help us, help us with distribution, help us with things we don't quite know, or help us navigate these things. And he was so lovely to help us with this. And I can't wait to work with him again on something even bigger, hopefully. But he helped us. Was definitely instrumental in helping us get attention at Fantasia. And once we got into Fantasia, we had really studied the festival circuit very hard. And to the point that actually I wrote an article for Movie Maker magazine with 11 other of my cohorts. Heather Buckley, who did The Ranger, for example, she was a part of that crew, and David Gregory from Severin, and like all these really cool people, 12 like masterminds, put an article together for Movie Maker magazine about the 50 best genre festivals in the world. And it used to be 25, but I made them do 50 because I was like, there's so many little festivals that get overlooked. And doing the research and understanding the things, we had our list of festivals we want to go to. Once we got into Fantasia, we went out to all of them that didn't approach us. They started approaching us, actually. And so we got to go to like 15 festivals all over the world. And we made sure we went to the festivals because we wanted to like, talk to people and show, people what we had done. And we wanted to also make sure we met all the festival directors. So next time, we hopefully don't have to apply. We can just
you build connections.
We'd love to have you over to us. I mean, we became such good close friends with so many of them. Like we have a house at Sundance, and one of the festival directors from Monster Fest in Australia came to stay with us, along with Naomi, by the way. And we became very close to people with the idea. And that festival trajectory helped build awareness for the film on a market level, a territory level, right? And so when Dark Sky, when we went with them and they were going to release us, there was awareness of the film. And awareness to the point that, we opened right during COVID, April 24th, I want to say, and we didn't get a theatrical as we were supposed to. We didn't get it. We didn't get dressed up like a premiere. We had that plan too, over at the Alamo Draft House, like in our ArcLight, in LA, whatever. The idea is that we built such awareness for the film, and we were able to open huge on VOD to the Netflix picked us up, and then we got to number 1 on Netflix. But a lot of that was because we had a strategy after we opened. And we found out Netflix is finally going to take us, and they didn't want to take us at first either. Like I said, we had to woo them to show them VOD numbers that finally let them take us. And even then, I think they were sort of like iffy. But basically, when we found out in May we were going to be on in August, we worked really hard. Naomi was a huge part of that, I got to say, and all the other actors. But Naomi was really just been like a champion of this movie, where she'll come on and do these podcasts almost a year later. Right? We're in March. It opened last April. We're still doing stuff, sorry, not podcasts, but live streaming events like this. But the point being,
it does help that we're in a pandemic. I live alone, am single, am an extreme extrovert, and like desperate to talk to like anyone. So yes.
I mean, I think that this helped her as much as it helped us. But we were all helping each other, together. We were a family, right? And so by the time it got to Netflix, we were in the top 5 the first day, and we were in the top 5 for the next 8 days, and we got to number 1. Our little no-budget film got to number 1 in the U.S., number 3 in Canada, and it was just crazy. I mean, I cried because it was like everything we had worked for had come to fruition. Like this, you only have so many friends in this world. You don't have 86 million friends like Netflix has subscribers, right? Yes. To get to number 1, to beat Jamie Foxx's Project Power out of the number 1 spot, to the point that a Forbes article is written, who the hell is this little movie that just beat Jamie Foxx's movie? Yes. Right? Like, that doesn't happen every. So it was a happy ending in this regard. And I jokingly said to Naomi, well, I didn't jokingly, I really thought it was real. I was like, all right, we had a good run. It's all over. We did it. We got to the top of that mountain. It's over. And she's like, what are you talking about, you jackass? It's just begun. Exactly. It's just begun. We're going to do even more of these podcasts. You think we did podcasts this like summer? We're going to continue. And she wasn't wrong, to be honest. It's completely the truth.
That is such a great story. A lot of people don't understand I can speak from experience. When I first started doing this, I had to figure things out. Now, I deal with a lot of publicists, managers, agents, talent, you name it. But I had to figure everything out. Me and my executive producer, who's also my brother, we had to figure this out on our own by just testing the waters and seeing, well, how does this work? What's the protocol for this? It's not like this is not something you can look up on Google. And it's not. What are your thoughts on that?
But I will say, like, if anybody is going to, film school or wants to learn how to produce, they should absolutely Google podcasts like this one, because Alok is a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
The fact is, it's true. He doesn't have 83 million friends. He is very popular, but not, he doesn't have the entire Netflix subscription base. But I'll never forget the time that he texted me at like 11 o'clock at night. And he was like, hey, are you busy? Can you buy the movie right now? I'll Venmo you the $5 or whatever. And I was like, what? Like, okay, sure. And basically what he was doing was running an experiment. Like, he wanted to see, he knew that at midnight on the West Coast that the iTunes charts rolled over, and he wanted to see if he invested like $100, like if he could get 20 friends to buy this movie in this short increment, if he could kind of trick the system. And at the time I was like, seriously? Like, is Alok really texting everyone he knows and like getting them to buy this movie? Like, wow, talk about guerrilla grassroots producing. And of course he wasn't, but he was using his head, and he was thinking way outside the box, like just like you're saying. Like, there's no like how to. There is nowhere in a film class or how to book that's going to tell you to do stuff like that. You've just got to be always thinking, which
exactly.
is something.
Well, I mean, to thank you, Naomi. It's very sweet of you to say, but to be clear and to be fair, what it was that we had never gotten to number one in the United States. And it really meant a lot to me to get on the iTunes horror charts. iTunes is one of these places that actually keeps really updated charts and so forth. And to me, it meant something to get to number one. So we were like number 8, and they had lowered our price or something. So it was like, 99 cents to rent or $5 to buy. And I was like, I wonder if I got like 20 friends to buy it all exactly. It was like 10 o'clock at night on West Coast time, right? If 20 people bought the movie at the same time, where would we go on the chart? And it actually went from like 8 to 5. And I was like, that is interesting information, because in the future, if there's anybody who's ever like any horror friend producers of mine who were like, I'm at number 2, we'll invest $100. See if you can get to number 1, like just so you can have tagging right, for example. But it's an interesting experiment. It was an experiment. I'm just a curious person because, again, I came from a background of doing market research for film, so I'm always curious about all these little details to see what can happen to like kind of like help a film, in film, pour through. And listen, the fact that it's a pandemic and we're in COVID, right? It leveled the playing field. Like all these films, like whether it be Invisible Man or Fantasy Island or whatever, we were like competing with them. This little no-budget film was competing with them all over the world, and it still is. Actually, the weird thing is, all this stuff happened, right? Like all this, great sort of like interviews and podcasts and like live streaming things like yours, and also, I mean, getting more reviews, blah, blah, blah. And now we're opening in countries that I know nobody in, and no one we know knows nobody in, pretty much, like the Middle East or wherever. Like we're in Brazil right now. It's a country of 230 million people. We're number 2 right now. Wow. We've been number 2 for 4 days now. And I'm like, can't we get to number 1? The answer is no, because Freaky is too damn good. They're just too damn good. I don't know how we're going to beat Freaky. But I'll tell you this, like it's happened like all over the world. Every country we've opened in the top 5, like to even like the top 3 or number 1. Number 1 in 8 different countries now.
That's awesome.
Should not be.
Yeah, I mean, it's
we are.
Yeah, it's a great movie. My question to you is, before it landed on Netflix, it was on iTunes?
It was on all the major streamers: iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Vudu, DirecTV, Spectrum, everything it opened on.
So how do you get it on those platforms?
Well, that's up to your distributor sales agent. You got to have someone who's really connected, and they basically go and they preach for you. They talk Jesus to these people and say, listen, it's going to do business, and they trust. There's a trust between these, different parties, right? And so you have to have someone who's really to go to bat to you. And Nicola and Greg from Dark Sky are just those people to champion little films like this. They did, Girl on the Third Floor. They've done like a Honeymoon Phase, which is awesome. Or not Host, the one from Shudder. Yeah. Actually, sorry. They're also one Shudder, but Host, the movie plural, Host, which is an amazingly ferocious horror movie out of England that these two filmmakers did. It's not the Host.
Yeah,
confused. Yeah, but they champion that movie, for example. Like, right? So they're good taste makers. They pick stuff that's really cool and that people want to see, and then they convince iTunes and Amazon that this is gonna be dope.
So Dark Sky, is that a production company or a production company and a distributor?
No, actually they kind of wear many hats now, but they're basically a sales agent distributor, but they also make films now too as well. Okay. So the last couple of years. I mean, they've made film. They made Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer like back in the 80s or late 90s or early 90s or something like that. And they made they had the rights to Texas Chainsaw and stuff like that. And they started off, I think, doing that kind of stuff and then evolved as a company. But they've been around for a long time. They're a very trusted company, a very honest company, which is hard to say in the field of sales agent distributors. I'd say like 70% of them rip you off and 30% of them are honest. Yeah. And they know people within the other countries that are then honest as well. So they are a very good boutique company that does great work and are an honest company.
Awesome. Now, Naomi, how did Alok approach you to appear in 1BR?
Well, again, because we're friends, he came to me mostly just like, what do you think of this? Like, should I dedicate the next couple years of my life to this? And, just as a friend, but also obviously, at that point I'd sort of paved my way in the horror genre. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure, he was thinking, be fun to work with my friends. So I want to say he brought it to me like in March. And I remember reading it and thinking, this is great. Like, it's totally my genre. Like I have a fan base that would, absolutely come see me in it. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, it's just well written, and, I always think of it as almost like your script is like the blueprints. The screenwriter is your architect. And if your plans don't hold up, then you don't have a house. Like, it's not going to stay up. Mm-hmm. Like, and so I read this knowing, like, you know what? They've got the bones. Like the structure, the story is there. So, there's plenty can go wrong in the production and in post-production. But if you don't have that solid foundation to start, then you really are screwed.
Exactly.
So I knew I wanted in. Then it wasn't until I want to say maybe November that I actually got a call from my agent for an audition. And I was like, what? He's making me audition?
What the hell? What's up, man?
I'm like his good friend. He can't just offer it to me, but okay. I mean, I understand now. It was really a formality. I didn't know David, the writer, director, and, it was important to meet him. But he could have told me that. Like, I had no idea. I thought, oh snap, I better get prepared. So I did. Although I'll never forget the actual audition. Again, because it's a low budget, indie. Again, Alok's got to wear another hat. Now he's the reader in the casting office, and. Readers typically are often actors. Like they try to get someone who really, act with you and work with you. Now, as many hats as Alok wears and does his job very well, he is not an actor. In fact, we have spent many a drunken night playing Trivial Pursuit, and part of his strategy is reading the questions so jacked up that you have no idea what he just said. Like, it doesn't even matter. You may or may not have actually known the answers to that trivia question, but by the time Alok's finished asking it, you have no idea what he just said. It might even be in Sanskrit. You're not sure. So here Alok is like reading my lines. I'm like, this is not Trivial Pursuit. Like, it is not midnight. We are not drunk. And like, why are you trying to sabotage me? Anyway, that's.
I mean, I'm not an actor, in my defense, and I hope I never have to do this again. But I mean, for the record, I wasn't trying to fuck her. I was just trying to like read it best I knew to read, and not being an actor or whatever. Just give her something to act against. But apparently, I just like it was not good at it. So I'll never do it again. No, take it. But
Now, Alok, my brother has an interesting comparison for 1BR. He compares it, he puts it to like Rosemary's Baby meets The Village. What do you think about that when it comes to 1BR?
We get a lot of Rosemary's Baby, but we get, I think, just as much The Invitation, actually.
Yes.
More than, and the funny thing is, like, people will sometimes say, "Oh, you ripped off The Invitation." But the funny thing is, I went to high school with Matt Manfredi, who, along with Philip Hay, wrote The Invitation. And Philip Hay is married to Karen Kusama, and they've done tons of awesome movies, like whether it be Destroyer or the Friedkin documentary. I think they like produced that too, that one that was on Shudder. And but I took the script to Matt beforehand, and we were at like some place in LA called Beer Belly. That's like a place where you get good beer and fried Twinkies and stuff. And we met there, and he's like, "Listen, your film has nothing to do with ours. Don't you make that film." And so I did. And then it also turns out that I then my next film I'm producing is with Lisa Lenzanetta, who's also one of the producers on The Invitation, who I just met separately than whatever, but we just have the same, whatever sensibilities. We love the same script, and we're going to make this movie together, hopefully in May. And she also said it has nothing to do with it. All right, well, I get from the horse's mouth. Anyone make a comparison to it wouldn't, is not right. And if anything, it's actually a very cool spiritual, well, not a sequel, but it's actually more of a interesting double feature, I would tell you. If people ever wanted to do that, that would be a fun thing. But Rosemary's Baby, we get quite a lot of that. Also, The Tenant, a little bit too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Roman Polanski kind of feelings that go with that. And I think that Marmor has the potential to be as good as Polanski without the rapey stuff.
Yes. Now, I have a question, and I don't want us to spoil the movie for those who have not watched it. It's in regard, obviously, to the very last scene in the film, when we're going to try to be non-specific here. When the star is out in the street and we see the lights coming on in various other apartment complexes. Does that mean I was expecting her to get jumped by somebody, and it didn't happen? Were the alarms and the sirens going off without spoiling the movie, meaning that it's more than just the complex she was living in and it was spread out throughout the entire block?
Well, I mean, clearly, yes. I think that no matter how describing this is it's gonna be spoilers no matter what.
Yeah,
it's just what it is or whatever, unfortunately. But listen, it's clearly at the end, it's clearly a bigger universe than we were led to believe in a way. What happens to her remains to be seen. We couldn't tell you one way or other what happens, but I can tell you that we definitely have a sequel that is going to happen. Yes, 100%. Yes, and so, go ahead.
Is Nicole coming back for the sequel?
I can't tell you one way or other.
Okay.
There's a lot of different directions to go with this, but I can tell you that she's one of the most amazing actresses. I mean, she can cry 8 different ways. Taylor Nichols, who plays Jerry, our sort of like leader of the complex and stuff, always says it's really hard to kill a good horror movie. Yeah. And I feel like that is absolutely the case. Yeah. And we really can't wait to show you what happens next. We're just trying to figure out the right home for it, whether that would be theatrical or, we would love to be on a Netflix. I mean, I feel like they could do with a couple different franchises. I mean, they have the babysitter stuff going on, but I think that this really could be, their Purge or something like that. I mean, the first Purge movie, by everyone's, like I said, I used to test movies, and we tested that. It was an interesting film, but it wasn't a great film. It subsequently got better, and now again 5 films and a television series, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely places we can go to make this so interesting, and we have to sort of J.J. Abrams it in a way. We got to keep it in the box.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what's in the box. You might pay to see what's in the box. So that's the whole thing about it. But I mean, listen, I would love to talk about it all day long, but we just want to be right to the fans and hold that back.
Yeah, and
Janice is still alive.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask Nash.
And let's face it.
Was she supposed to say that?
Didn't quite get the screen time that she could have used. The fact is, this was shot over 2 different periods. We shot this at first around Christmas because it's a low budget movie, and Alok is a money grubbing producer, and he knew that that's a time of year when you can kind of if you can get the actors, you can get them usually pretty cheap.
Yeah. You can get everybody for cheap.
You see, I didn't know that.
We shot over the holiday, and then we had to do some reshoots. They weren't quite done. And so we came back in September, 9 months later, to finish it up. And the fact is, Alok got me back because he said, we squandered Janice. We realize now what we've done. We were, the movie's about Janice. What were we thinking? Please, won't you please come back? And of course, I fell for it. Would you believe it? Now, this happened to be the same weekend of the Emmys, okay? And I happened to be nominated. So I'm like, okay, fine, jerk. I could have been at, half a dozen gifting suites getting, diamonds and trips to Barbados. But no, instead, I'm basically a background extra for my, buddy Alok. But it's all right. It's okay because
you knew it was worth it.
Here, I do every podcast around because I know he will remember when it comes back to TBR or whatever this next.
It could be 1BR, the Chronicles of Janice, for all we know.
Okay, so just to be clear here. Naomi saying that Janice is still alive is her wish for the character of Janice to still be alive.
Well, I mean, even horror movies, you don't have to be alive to be a central character. I mean, this could be Sixth Sense, maybe. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be a.
I mean, there could be a prequel.
Exactly.
I mean, Taylor Nick. Well, I mean, listen. We're telling some spoilers here with everything we've been saying. So I hope people maybe you can put something at the beginning of it. Please watch the movie first and then listen to this or something. Oh no, it's live. Okay. We're all saying this live. I'm sorry. I would tell you this, a prequel could be very interesting as well, is the thing. There could be a lot of interesting mythology to explore that reveals even more interesting things. We don't know. I mean, how far and how wide this entire sort of thing goes without going into too much detail.
Absolutely.
Another thing I'm sort of holding out for is the fact that this, while we were shooting 1BR, one of our production vans got stolen in the night.
Production truck.
It was one of our production trucks. So, there was a PA that was basically, I'm surprised it wasn't Alok, frankly. He does all the things. But no, they hired a PA to basically babysit the production trucks overnight. And glad they did because sure enough, one of them was jacked. There was this truck stealing ring that basically drove one of our trucks away. Jeez. And it was on the news. If you tuned into the 11 o'clock news that night, you'd watch this high.
It was a televised high-speed chase.
Wow.
Which essentially went from freeway to freeway. We could tell you that all the different freeways, like the Californians from that SNL script, but that skit rather. But Naomi, sorry, I've interrupted you.
No, I mean this high-speed chase stars one of the most hot felons you've ever seen in your life. Like when they finally surround, all the squad cars, like come up on the guy, and all of a sudden he gets out. He is like Brad Pitt, beautiful. And let me tell you, these cops did not want to mess with the facha. They were like, oh, okay. Because, LAPD has a terrible rap for, it's really, brutal behavior but not this guy. Oh no, too pretty for that. But in any case, Alok apparently has some sort of deal. Like this guy's supposed to like pay reparations or something. I have my own plan. I think he can work it off. I think, Janice is lonely. She's just lost her husband. She's gonna need to,
She needs to rediscover what it means to be a woman.
Naomi, you are a hoot. I love you. You are a hoot. I mean, you are hysterical.
Well, I was going to tell you one more thing. Like, okay, yeah, he's supposed to pay his reparations and all the whole thing. But, if you want to see The Handsome Felon for yourself, it's actually on the Blu-ray/DVD in America. It's that footage is on there because when we were at Fantasia and premiered, the whole thing about it was that the cast and crew didn't know this had happened. Right? Mm-hmm. I got a call in the middle of the night. Oh, this happened. I didn't get it till the morning. And then I was like, well, what the fuck happened? And they were like, oh, well, this is, this truck. The truck company, Cinepower, was so good. They put a truck out there, got everything loaded, whatever, even though they've been in a, been rocking back and forth in the truck with this high-speed chase and the engine was damaged and whatever. They took all this stuff. We started an hour late. No one knew why we were an hour late. Didn't tell anybody. We didn't tell the director. We didn't tell David until actually the wrap party. And then we told the cast and crew when we were actually at Fantasia doing the Q&A. They were like, hey, I think we got some footage. Let's roll this. And that is on the Blu-ray DVD.
That is
so if you want to purchase it, you're going to see it there. So that's another reason if you've already known the movie.
Ladies, gay men, I'm telling you, this guy it's worth it. And not only that, but I'm pretty sure I have like points on this movie, so I might actually get paid for this movie if you buy this Blu-ray DVD. So please,
and to be clear, it's around $17 or $18. I want to say, just not $5. But anyways, it's worth the price of admission just for the hot felon. Right?
That is so awesome. I don't even know where to begin with that now. How long is the movie for now going to be on Netflix?
We're not. Well, I mean, I would.
Well, I mean, I don't want you to give away too much, but is there a deal that?
It's not for a long time unless a deal will be struck. I feel very positive about a deal being struck, and which is why I don't want to say it's not going to be on.
Okay, I totally get that. I totally get that.
Things are in the works,
So people can understand how Netflix works. This is a general, not just one BR. They can either buy the rights to a movie for a certain amount of time, or they can just buy it outright for the whole life. And does that mean you sell Netflix the rights to any sequels and whatnot?
Well, I'm sure that's something to be arranged. Everything's on a movie-by-movie basis. But, listen, we love Netflix. We want to be in the Netflix family. David Marmor has a really... it's even 1BR. Can I just tell you that? It's even better than 1BR, his next movie. He is a... Mike Flanagan, Spielberg wrapped into one. He has so many great ideas, and I'm so glad his first movie blew up in the way that we can hopefully get him out there for other projects that are horror and other things too, right? Yeah. So we would love to be part of the Netflix family. We hope that they hopefully do the right thing. Well, I mean, they do what they want to do or do what they can do for the first movie, and maybe even for the sequel. But there are other people that are very interested in the sequel, I can tell you that. And in a theatrical sense, that is to be the case, right? Mm-hmm. So we're interested to see how far this thing will go.
You guys did great. Naomi, Janice was great, She was married to somebody who was a few apples short of a fruit basket. Okay.
Well, the funny thing is, and I think that Naomi would tell you this as well, is that like David came to them and was like, listen, these people don't think they're doing anything wrong. In fact, they think they're trying to help people. And in fact, like the way I looked at it, it was like, the movie American History X, right? Where you see Edward Norton giving this speech before the skinheads go into the supermarket.
Yeah.
And the speech is so compelling, and you're like, oh my gosh, I think they're right. I think wait, what? They're Nazis. They can't be right, So you kind of like go to this place where you kind of believe that. Yeah, that this organization is actually like they believe in what they do, and Naomi would tell you she wants to be a good mother and and everything else to her daughter in the movie but yet the methods for how they do things are obviously a bit not right, perhaps. Let's say
taking people, and try to convert them to your ways, to be general about it, is not the right way to do things. The writing was great. The acting was fantastic. The directing, the producing. It's just a great film. And to me, I'm actually shocked that it took so long to land on Netflix. It's an amazing film. Naomi, do you have, let's pretend Alok is not listening. Do you have any regrets whatsoever about being a part of 1BR?
No, not regrets about being a part of it. But yes, Alok made the gesture.
There's a big rain
really
check coming.
My friend. So I gave him a good deal, let's just say.
Yeah.
And I think had I been a little bit more of a scrupulous, businesswoman, I could have still worked with my friend and he would have had me work less days. So the point is we want to work, smarter, not harder. And because he, because I gave him such a good rate, he could afford me, 10 days. I could have given him a 10 times my rate number, and I would have probably gotten the same amount of screen time and, done it all in one day. And that's all. I would have liked to have gone to Barbados. Okay.
She's really upset about not going to Barbados.
All right. So.
Well, I mean, it was the Emmys were kind of her time to shine. I mean, how often do you get nominated for an Emmy? And I understood it.
I mean, that's that shows what kind of a friend you have right there to ditch all that.
You know what? I know that, and I thank her all the time. I really do. It's even behind the scenes, whatever. Even in obviously in public, but just we're
I'm
best.
Kidding. By the way, I am always joking.
We know.
No. But she's not. But she's not wrong. And she's
fine. At the end of the day, again, I got the long vision. I know that this film I knew it had potential not only for this film, but for the future, future of this franchise, for the future of this relationship, as actor, producer, working together. So, obviously I want to be as amenable as I can be.
Exactly.
But Alok, better hope I get nominated for another Emmy. And, yeah, I mean, if I die never having gone to the Bahamas, I'm going to be bummed.
I would be too.
Listen. Hopefully for the next movie, we'll do so well with it. I'm just going to fly you to the Bahamas, and then this will be over. It'll be like, all right, listen, this is where you go diving with sharks. Don't get killed. This is where you do this over here. This is where you do.
Now, Naomi, we're out of time, but I got one last question for you.
Sure.
Are we going to see Pepper again? I know you can't really say, but can you give us a hint?
I wish I could. I don't know.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Let me rephrase it. Would you be willing to shave the head again and go back to being Pepper?
Of course.
Okay.
Oh, no. First of all, being Pepper, as a good time as I have, I like to joke, I'm 5 feet of fun, but Pepper is even more fun. Being Pepper is so much more fun than being Naomi, if you can imagine. And guess what? I may be single, but that's not by choice. I'm holding out for that hot felon, okay? Men don't care about hair. That's the truth, ladies. Like, you don't have to work as hard as you do. So, yeah, I would happily shave my head. I would happily go back. I mean, that show is like every actor's dream production, 100%. The fact is, it's not up to me. You know what I mean? Like, that's really, that's a question for, Ryan Murphy and the producers. I didn't even know that I was coming back the first time. Like, when, Pepper, I want to say I had like a guarantee of like 3 episodes. I was in those first 3 episodes of Asylum, and then I went pee, and we never heard from me again. And as people were watching, they were like, well, what happened to Pepper? Did she fall in? Is she doing number 2? Like, what's going on? She's still in the bathroom. And of course, I was like, I didn't know. All I knew is they said, you're wrapped for now. Don't cut your hair, which of course was a good sign that we may be seeing more of me. But until you have those dates, until the contract is signed, So, the fact is, I am the last to know these things, if you can imagine.
And that's, the other thing is that she's also in Apocalypse, and she is playing a Satanist. So she's played another character in addition to that. Yeah. So she could come back. I mean, if it's not Pepper, maybe it'll
be somebody else. I mean, that's what American Horror Story is. It's an anthology.
I hope it's a third character, frankly, like you're saying, right? Like,
you can do anybody. I have no doubt. You can play and do any character they throw your way.
The good news is, and I'm looking at the little chat, somebody said I'm a talker. You bet it.
That's my brother.
Oh, ha! Well, the fact is, though, but I feel like because I can see, people are interacting. It's not just like American Idol where you, the audience, can actually affect change. Like, even, horror fans, AHS fans, 1BR fans, if you want to see more Pepper or you just want to see more Naomi, get on it, tweet, twat, you name it, get on your social media and look for that little blue check mark. Make sure it's the real deal.
Exactly.
People are always begging me to come back, and I'm like, no one wants this more than me. So, talk to the higher ups.
Absolutely. I'm going to write them. I'm going to write Murphy and tell them.
Just to do exactly that, to monitor what fans want. So if that's what you want, make it happen. If you don't want that, then step away from the computer. Find a book.
This has been the funnest hour. I swear to God. Naomi, Alok, thank you so much for coming here. I feel we could keep on talking for another 5 hours, but I do gotta cut it at an hour. I love 1BR. I wish it all the success in the world. I want to see a sequel. There are so many endless possibilities as to where to take this story, whether it be a sequel or a prequel. You can take it, you guys.
I mean, it could be a television series.
It could be a television series. You guys produced it, you wrote it in a way that it has endless possibilities. I loved it, and I'm glad that I, over the last week, been mentioning to people, and a lot of people have watched it as well. Thank you so much, both of you. Naomi, you are someone I want to go have a drink with, and because you are a blast. You are an absolute blast, both of you. It's been amazing as always. I want to have you guys back if whatever happens with B1BR. I want you guys to come back to this show. Any final thoughts?
We should do an episode when we're drinking. Then you'd see some stuff.
Oh my God! I can only imagine Naomi when she's drunk.
all of us, it's going to be a good time. But we'd rather get drunk with you in person. So hopefully that can happen sooner or later.
Exactly. Hopefully we can get back. Yeah. Hopefully we can get back to some kind of normalcy here, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to our audience. It's been an absolutely fantastic hour. Alok, any final thoughts you want to share?
No. Well, I mean, can I tell you? I don't want to promote anyone else's show, but we're doing a watch along for Film Threat. They're good. They're good buddies of ours, and so I would say that on Friday that's going to happen at 5. o'clock. And please continue watching One BR. More than anything, please tell your friends.
Exactly.
Because a good word of mouth for a little film like this only helps us. It's better than any trailer I can pay to have cut.
Absolutely.
I mean, please tell your friends. And that's what I would tell you. And of course, thank you to Naomi Grossman, my partner in crime.
Yeah. Naomi, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I would say same. As many friends as Alok has, he's already paid us all to buy the movie. So he needs more friends. He needs more people. This was a really fun conversation. So please, I'm sure, I know this was live, but if you have it broadcast anywhere, let me know.
Oh, it's going to be permanently archived.
Share it on all my socials. And of course, I got to tell people to follow me there.
Well, Naomi, I did tag you on the promo for this show on your Instagram.
Oh, gosh. You know what? I'm out of town, and I'm in a blizzard, actually.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I heard.
So I'm just glad we had even internet to be able to do this. It's been really kind of hairy.
Yeah.
But so I apologize. I didn't see that. But
that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna archive it.
Repost and So if people want to follow me on all the socials, they can see me in the blizzard on TikTok from yesterday. But my handle is Naomi W. Grossman.
Naomi W. Grossman, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much to our audience. It's been an absolute treat and a pleasure, and I'm definitely having you guys back. Everybody stay safe. Till tomorrow. Tomorrow we are having the star of 1BR, Nicole Bryden Bloom, as our guest. So until tomorrow, guys, stay safe and stay walking.